10 years ago, on March 2nd, 2015, the 15th and final episode of Star Wars Rebels Season 1 aired on DisneyXD. The episode is Fire Across the Galaxy. So this episode continues the plot arc started with Carter Action and continued with Rebel Resolve, the two previous episodes. So they gather information on where Kanan is. So the Ghost crew are ready to hatch their plan, but first they need to steal a Gonzati-class cruiser/transport. So Sabine goes to an airbase and distracts the stormtroopers there while Zeb and Ezra steal the Gonzati, and they get away, destroy all the TIEs. Now, I do want to address one thing. I have not reviewed the shorts that were released before Season 1 of Star Wars Rebels aired. There's 4 of them. A lot of them focus on character spotlights, but one of them was a Sabine short, and that was Sabine infiltrating this Vey air base, and she doesn't destroy any TIE, and she might destroy a TIE fighter or two, but she did know her artwork paints and all that. And actually, the explosion she causes at the end of this scene in the current episode does the smoke does form a phoenix, hence Phoenix Cell. Really good there. But I just want to address that short and they have characters called back to that short where the stormtroopers are saying when they issue the intruder alert, the artist is back. That's who they refer to Sabine as. Sabine comments that their aim has gotten better, but she's gotten better. So this scene very much calls back to that earlier show that I have not yet covered. This scene also puts Sabine's acrobatics forefront and center. So all the people who were saying that Sabine could be a Jedi, the Force has to be helping her with some of her acrobatics in this episode. I'm just saying. Has to be. She's not thinking of it so it can actually help her. Because she's stubborn. But we're going to talk about that when we talk about Charge of the Darksaber. And whenever Season 2 of Star Wars Ahsoka airs. But we're not there yet. No, not yet at all. So they got their transport and they need a TIE fighter in order to get into the ship, or more accurately to distract the ship, because they have a plan to basically send a TIE in as a EMP that they can detonate, and it can take out all the systems of the Star Destroyer, so they have a chance of actually getting on board using their transport. Unfortunately, all the TIEs at that base were destroyed. Shouldn't there be some other air bases they could also go to? But they do have a TIE fighter. This TIE fighter, Zeb and Ezra stole a few episodes back, and I want to say it was Fighter Flight. He was a little mad that they didn't destroy the TIE, but is happy that they do have the TIE for their plan. There's one problem, and that's because Ezra and Sabine have painted it, probably mostly Sabine, so it does not look like a standard issue TIE. And also the scene where Ezra and Sabine are revealing what they did to the TIE is like it's such a sibling energy type moment. Now this is something I'm probably going to talk about later on and I have before, but the question is the relationship between Ezra and Sabine more of a sibling relationship or a romantic relationship? Because it could go either way depending on when in the timeline we're talking about who's doing the writing and what your personal take is. But this scene definitely leaned into the mischievous sibling energy vibe for their relationship. Other scenes do it differently in this very show, so I'll try to address them whenever they come up. But in short, they get on board Tarkin Star Destroyer. Now, Tarkin smartly had a contingency plan, so that way, if he does not send an all clear to the other Star Destroyers on time, they send reinforcements. So now they got stormtroopers coming on board that they have to deal with. So they split up. Hera, Sabine, and Zeb basically distract the stormtroopers while getting themselves off, while Ezra goes to rescue Kanan. He gets Kanan, and they eventually end up in the reactor room where they're confronted by the Grand Inquisitor. Kanan borrows Ezra's lightsaber and skillfully uses it, both functions and alternating and at the same time, to combat the Grand Inquisitor, which is something that Ezra had not considered. He even notes as much before. He even makes that remark during the duel, witnessing it. And shortly after that, Ezra notices that the Grand Inquisitor has Kanan's lightsaber on his belt, so he force pulls it and joins in the duel. Of course, the Grand Inquisitor, using the spinning lightsaber blade functions, pushes Ezra off the ledge. Thankfully, he lands on another walkway, but Kanan doesn't know that. He uses the Force to retrieve his lightsaber, and he reveals to the Grand Inquisitor that he has nothing left to fear to lose. Something along those lines. And that allows Kanan to defeat the Grand Inquisitor. He skillfully and rightly exploits a huge weakness in the spinning blades of the Grand Inquisitors and the other Inquisitors' lightsabers we've seen in later stories as well. The fact that there's a hole in the middle where you can stick a lightsaber and use it to damage it. And I'm glad they did that on the Sooner side, because yes, the spinning is designed to intimidate, but when someone's not afraid of that intimidation, they can overcome it super easy. In fact, I would love it if that was an option, at least in a cutscene for the Star Wars Jedi games, facing one of the Inquisitors. Alas, that's not been an option in the games, but I would love it. But that's getting sidetracked. That scene is really good because it shows Kanan's a really skilled Jedi, but also shows that once he's let go of everything he has to fear to lose, he's able to fully embrace the Force and defeat the Grand Inquisitor. And the Grand Inquisitor basically lets go of the ledge and falls into the reactor that's exploding. From his own lightsabers, by the way, because he said there's worse things to fear than death. We get a hint of that at the end of the episode. But they get away. Ezra makes a dark joke about how the Grand Inquisitor doesn't need his TIE fighter anymore. They're waiting for Chopper because Chopper ran away. But don't worry, he didn't run away. He went to get some more rebels to help them get out. So we got 3 Corellian corvettes and also the Ghost showing up and the Gonzati, and they get away. And then, of course, they wonder who's piloting the Ghost. Any guesses? It's Ahsoka. Come on, we all know this. This is spoilers for a 10-year-old show at this point. There's also a holographic message from Bail Organa to confirming to everyone that he's involved in the Rebels Alliance, like we didn't know that. And that's where the Rebel story ends, with Ahsoka introducing herself to them and saying that they don't know what the next step is, but it's basically a new day and there's a lot more ahead of them, and they've been inspiring hope. Then after that we cut back to Lasalle. Grand Moff Tarkin is arriving there, being greeted just by Agent Kallus, who remarks that unrest is rising on Lasalle, and then Tarkin responds that the Emperor has sent basically an agent to deal with it, an alternative measure. And then we hear, that's right, Darth Vader's breathing, and we see him. He doesn't say anything, but we see him. That's going to tell us something. The Empire is taking this threat of rebellion on Lasalle super seriously. But that's where the episode ends. That's where season 1 ends. So, they ended on a high note. They rescued Kanan, and now they're connected with the rest of the Rebel Alliance, and are able to now go out into the greater galaxy. Star Wars Rebels started this trend of a first season of the Star Wars shows being very tight-knit. You don't get too much outside of the primary location, and then it ends in such a way that season 2 can expand. Star Wars Resistance followed this formula. Even The Mandalorian followed this formula to a certain degree as well. And The Bad Batch, not as much, but still, the earlier episodes have generally always been a more tight-knit, where we get to know the characters and all that, and the feel of the show. Before then, they go introducing other things in the show as that can be going on, like everything going on from Mount Tantus. That was not done at all in season 1 of The Bad Batch. And this formula has been basically the hallmark of Star Wars storytelling since Star Wars Rebels. The Acolyte didn't seem to do that, but again, the Acolyte will unfortunately not going to get a season 2, so we don't know how the story could have expanded. Star Wars Andor looks like season 2 is going to be putting Andor into the wider rebellion than we had in season 1. Book of Boba Fett was limited run. Obi-Wan was limited run. Ahsoka, we're probably going to see a bigger story, especially now we'll probably be following Ezra in the main galaxy, and then Ahsoka and Sabine on Peridea, so that's going to be expanding the scope. Star Wars Rebels is a very important show, not just because it's good, but because it established a formula that is pretty good at creating a successful Star Wars show. Of course, we got way more of Star Wars Rebels to discuss, so when am I going to discuss the shorts I mentioned earlier? So next week I am going to be doing my season 1 review compilation, but after that, that's when I'm going to do just one video where I talk about all 4 of those shorts, because they do need to be talked about, and I Can't believe I forgot it. No. I'm actually going to switch them around so I can include the shorts discussion in my season 1 finale, my season 1 review compilation. I think that's going to work better. But also, the big question I think you're wondering is, when am I going to talk about season 2's first episode? Actually, first 2 episodes, because it's a 2-parter, The Siege of LaSalle. I have 2 possible dates I can go with. I can go with April 18th, which is when the Siege of LaSalle was showcased at Celebration Anaheim, or I could go based off of when it aired on DisneyXD, which was June 20th. I am going to go with the DisneyXD air date because that's what I've been doing for all these previously, so I might as well keep that consistent. So that pretty much covers most of my thoughts on Star Wars Rebels final episode, Fire Across the Galaxy. I think was a great ending, very fitting to the story that they were telling. The story of really the small group of rebels as a found family coming together to rescue one of their own captured by the Empire, and as a result getting connected to the greater Star Wars galaxy and the greater rebel movement that this show is partially telling us about. And like I said, I know in season 2 things are going to get bigger, but this was a great way of introducing our characters and also finishing the season 1 story. We know who these characters are. So that's where I'm going to end my review. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.